The AIFC is a new global financial hub which is supported by modern infrastructure and the latest technology. The AIFC operates within a special legal regime based on English law and international arbitration. Watch the program Astana International Financial Center to learn more. In today's episode, prospects of AIFC International Exchange, cooperation of the International Center with global trading platforms, privatization of Kazakh national companies. The global financial and investment market is rapidly developing, outstripping the real sector of the economy. The international securities market is at the forefront of the capital market, concentrating new technologies of investing in securities, financial engineering tools, innovations, and attracting the best experts and professionals from the financial sector. In this regard, as of 2017, the global financial and investment market reached a gap of 10 to 15 times from the real gross domestic product of the world. The situation was different in Kazakhstan. Experts forecast that the domestic stock exchange is still recovering after the crisis of 2008-2009.
The AFC is a very, very important mechanism that will bring Kazakhstan and make Kazakhstan the center of Central Asia. I think the AFC exchange is very, very important for Kazakhstan. It'll provide a market for debt, for the issuance of bonds here in Kazakhstan. To be able to do it here in the country is a very, very important statement about how the economy here in Kazakhstan has grown. And I think that is very important for the future and very important to establish Kazakhstan as the financial hub for the entire region.
The capital market in Kazakhstan experiences a shortage of high-quality and liquid instruments. This leads to a lack of interest from investors. At the same time, most Kazakhstan Stock Exchange, or KC, issuers attract funds on external stock exchanges, and only a small part of securities is offered to the local fund managers. Due to this, the development of the AIFC capital market is one of the important strategic directions, and its successful implementation is critical for the center, and the main task here is to develop a liquid and balanced capital market. Economic slowdown of business cycles in the country due to the deterioration of the situation on foreign markets and unfavorable geopolitical situation in the region justifies the need for the financial center. Now, it is important to attract new investments both in financial capital and in technological and human capital. The initiative to create an international financial center with a high-tech infrastructure and a new institutional base is one of the reforms aimed at long-term development. It is widely known that the main goal of creating the AIFC, like any other state reform, is to increase the well-being of the Kazakh people. The AIFC trading platform will improve the approaches to managing sovereign funds and facilitate the transfer of foreign knowledge and technology to the country, thereby ensuring the growth and development of human capital.
The goal of our platform is to develop the financial market services, the capital market of Kazakhstan. And two of the leading areas for the development of the capital market would be the privatizations. These are the top-rated companies, so we want to become a harbor for top-rated Kazakhstani companies, again, who want to attract both international and local investors. So any company of Kazakhstan who aim to the diversified pool of investment base could come to our market to list and trade here.
A new high-tech trading platform based on the principles of the best international practice was created at the AIFC in cooperation with a strategic partner among the world's leading exchanges. It was possible after Nasdaq and the Shanghai Stock Exchange became the shareholders of the Astana International Financial Center. This is a very important milestone for the financial cooperation between China and Kazakhstan. So the Shanghai Stock Exchange is going to use our experience of the setting up exchanges very wisely, and we're going to establish together with the AIFC authority so that the Astana International Exchange will become a great success. The Shanghai Stock Exchange will collaborate with the Astana International Financial Center Authority in terms of the development of financial products in the capital market. Founded in 1990, the Shanghai Stock Exchange currently enters the top 10 largest stock exchanges in the world. According to some experts, its position ranks a number 4 to 7. It is easy to explain by the fact that the gross domestic product of China, according to many analysts, already exceeds the indisputable leader of the last decades, the United States. It is important to note that the shares are divided into two categories, one of which is valued and traded in renminbi and the second in US dollars. The Chinese stock market is under strict control by the government bodies. The access to the Shanghai Stock Exchange was closed to the vast majority of foreign investors until 2002. Even after the removal of most of the restrictions, the division into shares traded for dollars and yuan remained.
For most, Shanghai is a very specific Chinese regulatory environment. So it's very specific. Most of the international investors, if they want to have access to Chinese securities, they go to Hong Kong. What we are going to introduce is something a little bit different. We're going to introduce a possibility for the products, meaning companies, within our region, within Kazakhstan, the Central Asian region, maybe parts of Russia, Caucasus, Mongolia, Western China, perhaps even Iran, for those companies to be able to list on our platform. But the investors would come from China, and the Chinese pool of liquidity will attract investors from the West.
The duties of the new exchange will include listing, bidding, registration of securities, clearing and settlement procedures. Also, the exchange should serve as a mechanism for economic diversification, providing the real sector with access to capital and allowing Kazakh investors to benefit from the economic growth of the country by investing in major sectors of the domestic economy. We're also going to join hands to nurture the investor base, and we're going to promote a complete and well-functioning offering and made and trade mechanism so that the Astana International Financial Center will become a very influential stock exchange in the entire Central Asian region. The exchange should ensure the transparency of the stock market and simplify foreign capital access to Kazakh and regional companies. The AIFC International Exchange will become a platform for carrying out the national company's privatization program according to the best world practices. Shanghai Stock Exchange is expected to assist Astana International Exchange in the area of strategic and technological consulting, business planning, product development, and market expansion. The Nasdaq Exchange Group will introduce the Nasdaq multi-matching engine with an access to a wide range of financial instruments.
First of all, an exchange is its ability to function relates to its technology. Nasdaq technology is the universal norm. It's the high end of market technology in the world. It's used by 110 exchanges, 80 exchanges that are not owned by Nasdaq in 58 countries around the world. So it establishes the exchange as having a world-class technology system.
The Nasdaq, the National Association of Security Dealers Automated Quotations, is a relatively young marketplace founded in 1978 and the largest electronic trading platform. The requirements for listing companies here are stricter than those for New York Stock Exchange, as there are a lot of structures of the high-tech economy sector. Once, the inflow of the small and medium-sized business sector was so big that Nasdaq had to allocate shares of larger companies to the Nasdaq national market. Experts feel that this experience is simply necessary for the AIFC. After all, the new exchange must correspond to the best world practices to develop the local capital market. In the context of globalization and rapidly changing world economy, the creation of a well-functioning capital market will greatly facilitate Kazakhstan's integration with the global financial system, facilitating the flow of foreign investment into the economy and increasing the country's technological and human potential.
Additionally, because Nasdaq is a global company, it's not a geographically placed company. It's a company that really services the world and exchanges around the world. We bring a depth of knowledge. We know the good and the bad. And we're also not just a technology advisor. I sit on the advisory board, or will sit on the advisory board of the new exchange. And so our expertise that is gained from being global and working in all kinds of countries across the entire globe, I think adds a dimension to this exchange that other exchanges don't have.
At the initial stage, AIFC will develop in two key strategic directions: capital market and asset management. Moreover, the development of Kazakhstan's capital markets will be implemented through increased liquidity as well as through systemic measures to stimulate supply, to issue government securities and demand. To date, great work has been done in this direction as a well-developed regulatory and legal framework has been created.
We are planning to introduce equities and bonds trading in the initial stages, and at the later stages we also want to develop derivatives, we want to develop commodities, and we want to develop special segments on our markets, such as the private company segment or the subsoil market segment or the small and medium-sized enterprises segment to allow the smaller companies to attract financing.
At the same time, a lot of work still needs to be done in this area. In particular, the local capital market is still unbalanced, as 96% of all transactions are currency and exchange transactions. Realization of the main activities of the development of capital market strategic direction will have a long-term direct positive effect on the economy of the country. The potential for activating the capital market through the placement of debt and equity capital of companies in the real and public sectors of the economy will be about $351 billion in 2015-2025. Taking into account the rapid development of Kazakh economy and the need for resources for further development and investment, the role of capital markets for realizing growth tasks is essential.
Сегодня биржа совместно с фондом Самрук-Казына проводит свою работу по подготовке к реализации процессов приватизации. Вы знаете, что в соответствии с программой...
Today, the Astana International Exchange, in cooperation with the Samruq-Kazina Fund, is working to prepare the largest companies for a privatization program. As you may know, privatization should give impetus to the development of Kazakh stock market in accordance with the 100 Steps program and the message of the head of state. The main part of the privatization program will take place on the platform of the Astana International Financial Center. According to the Samruq-Kazina Fund's plan, the shares of Air Astana, Kazakh Telecom, Kazatomprom will be listed in the first quarter. Neighboring countries with Kazakhstan have free liquid assets of $300 billion. This significant part can come to Kazakhstan's capital markets in the case of interesting investment opportunities. Thus, the cumulative direct effect on Kazakhstan's GDP could amount to about $12 billion in 2015-2025. This amount was deduced by the International Monetary Fund's statistical methodology.
По приватизации мы ожидаем, что в течение 3 лет будут приватизированы.
As for privatization program, we expect that the large shares of companies which are the foundation of the Samruq-Kazina Fund will be privatized within 3 years. This will contribute to reducing the role of the state and the government in the economy, which is part of the structural reforms that were announced in the 100 Concrete Steps program and 5 institutional reforms. Over the years of independence, Kazakhstan repeatedly launched a number of successful projects as part of the institutional reforms. For example, the Bolashak International Educational Scholarship allows educating several generations of highly qualified specialists who contributed to the development of the country. The creation of the National Fund not only helped to implement a right fiscal policy taking into account the dependence of the country's economy on oil and gas sector, but also to accumulate the necessary financial capital for long-term investments and create a safe environment to overcome the crisis periods. Following these examples and other initiatives, AIFC will be a new step in implementing reforms aimed at long-term socio-economic development of Kazakhstan. AIFC will become the main state institution of formation of a full-fledged Kazakh financial system. AIFC will promote Astana as an important international financial center, providing a platform for rendering financial services to clients both in the Eurasian region and throughout the world.